I served my brother-in-law the store-bought pie he swore he could taste. So my brother-in-law, Derek, has this whole thing about being a super taster. That's the word he uses. Super taster. Like it's a job title. Every family dinner, every holiday, every time we so much as order takeout, he's got to announce that his palate is simply on another level than the rest of ours. You can't fool me, he'd say, leaning back with that little smirk. I can tell fresh from frozen in one bite, homemade from boxed. I've got a gift. And look, for a while I let it go. My wife, Steph, she'd just roll her eyes at me under the table and we'd move on. But it got worse over the years. He started correcting my sister-in-law's cooking at her own table. Told her the green beans were clearly canned when she'd spent an hour trimming fresh ones. She went quiet and didn't say anything. My mom makes this apple pie. She's made it every year of my entire life. It's the one dish, honestly, that means the most to me. Because she's getting older and I know there's a number on how many more of these pies I get. Derek took one bite, chewed real slow like he was on some cooking show and goes, store-bought crust. Definitely. You can always taste the shortening they use. My mom's crust is from scratch. Butter, flour, ice water, her hands. I watched her make it that morning. I told him that, calm as I could, and he just shrugged. Agree to disagree. My palate doesn't lie. That was the moment. I decided right then I was going to settle this once and for all. So here's what I did. His birthday's in March, and every year Steph and I host a little dinner for him. I told him this year I'd make dessert myself, a homemade apple pie from scratch, just for the man with a golden tongue. He got all excited, actually rubbed his hands together. Finally, he said, someone taking my palate seriously. The night of, I went to the grocery store, walked past the baking aisle, walked right up to the freezer case, and bought the cheapest frozen apple pie they sell. The $4 one. The kind with the crust that's basically cardboard and filling that's mostly corn syrup. I baked it in my own oven, threw the box in the neighbor's trash so Steph wouldn't clock it, and let it cool on my counter like I'd slaved over it. Dinner comes. I bring it out. I even dusted it with a little powdered sugar to sell it. Derek claps. Now this, he says, is what I'm talking about. He takes a bite, closes his eyes. The whole table's watching because I may have quietly told everyone what I was doing beforehand. And Derek goes, oh, that's beautiful. See, this is the difference. You can taste the real butter in the crust. The apples were fresh, right? Granny Smith, there's a brightness a frozen apple just can't give you. Steph put her napkin over her mouth. My father-in-law started coughing into his drink. You're sure? I asked him. You'd stake the palate on it? I'd stake my life on it, he said. This is easily the best homemade pie I've had in years. Whoever taught you knew what they were doing. I let him finish the whole slice. Let him go back for a second one, actually. And when he was scraping the plate, I reached over to the recycling bin by the counter, pulled out the frozen pie box I'd only pretended to throw away, and set it down next to his plate. The $4 sticker still on it. The barcode. The little cartoon apple mascot. The table lost it. My father-in-law nearly fell out of his chair. Steph was wheezing. Derek's face went through about 6 colors. He picked up the box, turned it over, and goes, real quiet. This is a joke. You bought a different box. You're setting me up. Derek, I said. You told my mother her from-scratch crust was store-bought, and you just told me a $4 freezer pie tasted like real butter. So which is it? Because you can't have both. He didn't have an answer. He just kept turning the box over in his hands like the ingredients list was going to save him. The palate doesn't lie, right? I said. That's what you always tell us. He put the box down. He didn't eat dessert at the next 3 dinners we hosted. And when my mom brought her real apple pie to Easter last month, Derek took his slice, ate it without a single word, and asked, very politely, for the recipe. He hasn't called himself a super taster since.